Today we are tackling a question that's on everyone's mind. Can politicians be trusted? Recent events in South Africa provide a perfect case study. Let's break it down. Welcome to Inkari, It's Time, and I'm Kondos, your host. The Democratic Alliance and other political parties formed the so-called Multiparty Charter of South Africa just before the elections. The aim was to unseat the ruling ANC. However, after the elections, where the ANC received 40.2% of the vote, most parties, with the exception of ActionSA, have agreed to join the government of national unity proposed by the ANC. What changed? Is the ANC no longer the corrupt government that these opposition parties once alleged had destroyed the country? On 17 August 2023, 7 political parties convened for a 2-day national convention at Emperor's Palace in Captain Park, Johannesburg. During this event, they signed the pre-election agreement known as the Multi-Party Charter. The signatories included the Democratic Alliance, Inkatha Freedom Party, Freedom Front Plus, ActionSA, Independent South African National Civic Organization, United Independent Movement, and Spectrum National Party. The Charter explicitly states that the signatories parties will not enter into any working arrangements or co-governing agreements with the ANC or EFF. Here are some of the statements made by these political party leaders.
Very happy to announce formally that the parties have agreed and they've signed up after very robust negotiations that they agreed on a multi-party charter for South Africa and that we can formally announce pre-election coalition partnership. It's a historical moment for South Africa. This is the first in the modern era of South Africa that coalition is cobbled together before an election campaign.
And again I say, we the Spectrum National Party bow our heads in gratitude, and this time we can deliver testimony of a gigantic moment in the history of South Africa.
We will not accept the word impossible. We will make it possible. Clearly, to the citizens of this country, Yantutkwano yetu kubonye betu. Our future lies in our diversity. May God bless this Republic of South Africa.
We commit Isango to bring what it will take this multi-party charter to the sky. Lead South Africa. Remove what is not needed. Remove any player that is tired.
South Africans are a relentless community and country. It is for that reason I'm standing here with my fellow party leaders. We decided to put our differences aside and think about people of our country, think about our children and our grandchildren and create a better future for them. And I commit ActionSA to this process until its execution in 2024.
People say they want change in South Africa. I see this as a change for the future of South Africa. It's a game changer. It's unique.
As you have heard, we have agreed on much. Paramount amongst this is that as a country, we need an alternative government that will put South Africans first.
Much like the historic negotiations which took place here 32 years ago at the Kondos negotiations, that went on to change the course of South Africa forever, the Multi-Party Charter of South Africa is going to do exactly the same.
The sudden shift in stance by these parties raises questions about the integrity of political agreements. The ANC's 40.2 vote share should have, in theory, kept these parties united against forming a coalition with them and remain united to form a strong opposition. However, most parties, except for ActionSA, seem ready to join the ANC's proposed government of national unity. So what changed? Why did these parties abandon their signed agreement so quickly? Is it all about political positions and power rather than the welfare of the people who voted for them?
All of them denounced the government of national unity as a non-starter. Take a look. They are not interested in a government of national unity where all the major parties can have a say. You want a corner where others are excluded.
But we can't, Professor JJ, from the word go to work for the government of national unity because we will be starting from a wrong footing. The people of South Africa, they will be voting the government that failed them, voting it out. And to bring it back through the back door will be a terrible thing.
Even if they got 49.
We've got a framework on coalitions, and part of what it says is that our first preference would be with parties that agree with us in terms of our policies. But we haven't ruled our coalitions with anybody. Because at the end of the day, you need to look at how do you stabilize the country, how do you make sure that you have a government. But as I say, there are three options, and ours is certainly to go for a majority.
People have lost faith in politics, political parties, and in political leaders. People need new leadership that is going to come with new perspectives. It is unencumbered by the baggage of corruption that we have seen over the last 20 years, in particular in South Africa, and so on. What is important for South Africans to understand is that unless there are a lot of these people that we have now out of parliament and out of the government, a government of national unity is not going to be the solution.
For us to go back to a GNU would be to regress democratic practice. What we need to do is continue the process we've began of amending the electoral law and ensure that politicians are accountable to the people.
JJ, the day after the election, we will phone the parties in the multi-party charter, and we'll chart the way forward. We will not go into some backroom deal with the ANC. We'll consult our partners. There are different possibilities. You might sit with a minority government. You might have to make some kind of a voting arrangement. But the multi-party charter is our best alternative.
But I think the point is that...
Hey everybody, it's John Steenhuisen, the leader of the Democratic Alliance here. I want to tell you there's a lot of misinformation and fake news being spread out on WhatsApp and social media channels. This fake news and misinformation is designed to keep you at home so that the coalition of corruption, the ANC and the EFF, can keep in power. We're going to send a strong message on election day, and that message is going to be a message of change, of hope, of prosperity and advancement for all of South Africa. I need you to ignore the misinformation, kick out the fake news, and stick with the DA, the only party big enough to keep the ANC and EFF out of government. Together with the multi-party charter, a strong DA is our best vehicle towards rescuing South Africa. Let's get out there and do it. Don't believe the fake news, and let's send a message to those...
The ANC destroyed our province. You can't go into a coalition with someone who destroyed the province you want to rebuild and create a stable economic background with the one who destroyed it.
As a leading party in KwaZulu-Natal, we will not enter into a coalition with the ANC. This is for simple reason. The ANC has not been honest with us in the past. They have let down the people of South Africa, and the voters clearly express themselves when it comes to the ANC.
The IFP has decided in forming part of a government of national unity. The IFP has agreed to form part of the government of national unity. Provincially, we are working towards forming a government in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, having met with the ANC, DA, and the NFP in this province. This continues to be a work in progress while we understand the deadlines of Friday. Talks are still underway with regards to a coalition government in Gauteng. The IFP has confirmed its willingness to join that government of provincial unity in the province of Gauteng. In addition, as I have outlined before, the IFP will join a government of national unity that includes the ANC and the Democratic Alliance.
Many voters feel betrayed, questioning whether politicians truly have their best interest at heart. This scenario fuels the perception that politics is indeed a dirty game, driven more by personal gain than public service. Is this shift likely stemming from political pragmatism? With the ANC's influence still strong, these parties might see more benefit in aligning with the ANC than sticking to their pre-election promises. Does this assist the voters they claim to represent? This raises serious concerns about the reliability of political commitments and the true motivations behind such alliances. This brings us to a fundamental question. Is politics good for governance? Or are the skeptics who say don't trust politicians actually right? Are citizens, especially the poor, doomed to disappointment when relying on politicians for the betterment of their lives? When political agreements are abandoned so quickly, it undermines trust in the entire political process. If politics fails the people, what then is the better way to manage the affairs of a country? Is there no other way? Does democracy really work? Isn't it time for citizens to explore alternative forms of government, especially since democracies seem to be failing the people, particularly the poor and marginalized? Shouldn't the logical step for the ANC be to partner with the EFF and other political parties outside the Multiparty Charter of South Africa, since the agreement originally excluded them, rather than inviting the same parties that initially shunned it? While politics remains the primary method of governance in democratic society, exploring alternative or supplementary system of accountability and citizen engagement could enhance governance. This could include stronger legal frameworks to enforce political agreements, greater transparency, and more direct forms of citizen participation in decision-making.
The minerals energy complex, the rulers of this country, they have a plan and they are determined what they are going to do if you stand on their way. They killed us a phoenix. We cried, just like we cried during TRC. Saslila, sihlale silila. Umlungu yakubulala wena ukhala. Wenza i-threat umlungu yena akayenza i-threat uyakubulala. Wena uya kwi-social media ubanga umsindo yena akakwenzi lokho. And so, bantu, we have to understand that the enemy isitha lesesilwa naso. Si-focus, siya-plan. And isitha lesesilwa naso. Si-willing ukuthi kwayisona siyibulale for ukuthi izinto zabo senze. Do we have that courage? Are we prepared to do the same? Are we prepared to do what the white person is capable of doing to us? The answer is no. You know why? Because they own us. I think now it's time for us to sit down as the South African natives and stop these utopian discussions and stop to be preachers and say, this is what we want. This is the only time where young South African natives must go under one roof and have a discussion about the future of this country, and have a discussion about the sacrifices that they must make in order for this country to move forward. Every nation make a sacrifice. If you are not prepared to make a sacrifice, we have to accept to be a slave. We can shout as much as we want, but if you are not prepared to sacrifice, accept that you will be a slave. And so Kondos says we must stop to shout.
In August last year, these parties came together and they signed an agreement. And that agreement was explicit about not considering working relationships with the ANC. They campaigned on the basis of that agreement to the South African people. And when your members of the media go and pose them questions about what they're going to do with the votes after the election, they ducked and they dived and they evaded that question, all the while winning votes on the alternative, saying that they want to rescue South Africa and now they want to give those votes back to the same party from which we allegedly need rescuing. And ultimately we feel that there's been a betrayal of the
The situation in South Africa today serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and challenges inherent in politics. While it's easy to become disillusioned, it's also a call to action for citizens to demand better accountability and integrity from their leaders. That's all for today's deep dive. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts on whether politicians can be trusted and what changes you think are needed in the political landscape. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.